as it was told to me by Jadeline and others. One key elder handling the lawsuit I'm about to discuss, different from the trillion-dollar complaint mentioned in Part 1, is apparently 165 years old. According to JL, were they colonists? I asked JL if the elders were the direct descendants of humans who were born on another planet and migrated here. He personally has no knowledge of this, and was told their supernatural lifespan was merely due to diet and herbs. Other high-level insiders have revealed to me that fully 5 different groups of extraterrestrial humans have colonized the Earth in the past. The elders are apparently the living descendants of one of these groups. The larger Chinese pyramids were apparently built as landing platforms for their ships. I have been told there are still vast networks of crystalline pipes underneath the ground, linking these sites together. Much like an RV-equipped park, these pipes allowed them to have water, sewage and power hookups when they landed. Their ships' defense systems ensured they would remain safe from any locals who wanted to attack them. Chinese legends do report that the pyramids were built by the ancient ones who descended to Earth in flying metallic dragons, as I reveal in the source field investigations. 5 key bloodlines saga. According to top insiders I have spoken with, there were 5 key groups of off-planet immigrants in more recent times. Each of these groups became royal families in their respective regions. They have tended to keep their bloodlines intact. Let me be clear in saying that the elders are peace-loving, highly evolved people. They wish to see our world transform into a much more positive, loving and prosperous place for everyone. This is surely going to be one of the most surprising, mind-blowing things to emerge once we do finally have disclosure. Bring over your favorite stuff. It is also quite possible that the elders brought many of their favorite things over from their home world. This may explain why so many great spices could only be found in Asia and nowhere else. They may also have released some of their technology to the people, including silk and ceramics manufacturing techniques. It is also possible that the silkworms themselves were not originally native to this planet, and may have even been genetically engineered to perform their uniquely valuable service. One of my top insiders told me that the Great Pyramid building cultures of Atlantis were all founded by immigrant humans who came here from other worlds. Some people may be laughing at this now, but I don't think they have a whole lot of time left to remain ignorant of these things. Do they have off-planet allies with advanced technology? Remember, JL did not have any personal knowledge of the elders being the descendants of off-planet human immigrants. Nonetheless, I also asked him if the elders have contact with people who have advanced technology and do not live on Earth, perhaps their own distant relatives. He personally has no knowledge of this, but he did accept that he may not be on a need-to-know basis for information like that. China's October surprise data nonetheless provides stunning new context to the story of China's October surprise that I've been hearing from my own insiders. If you've been following my website, you know I've been tracking this story ever since October 2010, when it all really started. The basic gist of the story was that the Federal Reserve screwed China, and in these negotiations, they were told if they didn't pay up and surrender, China's extraterrestrial allies would begin systematically destroying their ability to take over the planet. There are a wide variety of seemingly inexplicable failures of military equipment that can be attributed to this, including a spectacular failure of 50 ICBMs in Wyoming, during which time a cigar-shaped UFO is seen hovering over the facility. These extraterrestrials are apparently working with China and other nations to ensure the G5 Illuminati countries cannot fulfill their plans of global dominance and genocide. The occult insiders' plan included the staging of a mass, fake alien invasion, using advanced technology. That is no longer possible. It's obvious to most open-minded people that UFOs are real. The story behind them is only known to a very privileged few. I have done my very best to put all the pieces together for you. Apparently this will all be common knowledge, much sooner than we think. A stunning settlement. Jill has never met any of the elders personally. However, he is in contact with someone who lives with them and has been working directly with the Federal Reserve families through the Bank of International Settlements. The elders' main contact has been shot at 5 times in the last year alone. The elders sued the Federal Reserve families in September 2010 for gold contracts going back hundreds of years, in a secret world court within the BIS, and the elders won as of December. These new figures fit in very nicely with the timing of China's October surprise, as I had reported it on this website, though JL had never read any of those articles, nor knew anything about it. The judgment was for $286 trillion. The Federal Reserve has been delaying the big payout ever since. However, JL tells me they have been in intense negotiations on a daily basis since last December, and almost all the details have now been worked out. We therefore should expect major changes to occur very, very soon. There's the S word again. Everyone's life will improve. Everyone's life on Earth will dramatically improve if what Jade Lion is telling me is true. This case, and its eventual outcome, is a completely separate issue from the $1 trillion lawsuit I covered in Part 1. The $1 trillion lawsuit is perfectly provable and on public record. The $286 trillion lawsuit, on the other hand, occurred in secrecy, and I have no way of proving it is true at this point. However, other top insiders have since confirmed that this is very real, and it will probably go public by the spring. Another insider referred to the time we are about to head into as a reset point and said it has huge significance for life on Earth. Keep it in. The elders obviously felt it was vital to China's national security that they not reveal where this vast supply of gold was, or how much of it they really had. According to JL, China still has vastly more gold reserves than they have been able to mine in the last few thousand years. Had the elders revealed this secret, they may not have been able to maintain the illusion that gold was a highly valuable, highly rare commodity. The elders had a key strategic advantage by having a nearly limitless supply of the one thing everyone in the world could agree was real money. It is also possible that the elders brought a gold synthesizing technology with them, and still use it to this day. This could explain why other insiders have scratched their heads and said if such secret mines really did exist, they surely should have known about them. The United States, the greatest Asian investment in Earth's history. How did the United States go from being just a few ragtag colonies, with people desperately trying to eke out a living, to becoming the world's preeminent superpower? Is it really as simple as the idea that they had a lot of land to convert into natural resources, and hence economic power? Apparently not. Without gold to secretly back up the issuance of American currency, they never would have been able to afford to grow so fast. It would have been a massive bubble that would be constantly threatened with destruction. According to JL, the biggest secret of the United States is that it was all built up with Asian money, directly from the elders. America was a rebellion against colonial, imperial, monarchic rule in Europe, and the Asians saw this as a very necessary investment for their own security. Why build up the United States? The Dutch, Portuguese and British were duking it out for supremacy over the hugely profitable Asian spice trade by the late 1500s. Things started to get serious by 1600, with the formation of the English East India Company. The Dutch formed the Dutch East India Company in 1602 as a defensive counter-move against this massive power play. Things quickly got bloody and nasty. The English scored a decisive military victory against the Portuguese in the Battle of Swally in 1612, and their power grew much faster after that. As it says in Wikipedia, by a series of 5 acts around 1670, King Charles II provisioned the East India Company with the rights to autonomous territorial acquisitions, to mint money, to command fortresses and troops and form alliances, to make war and peace, and to exercise both civil and criminal jurisdiction over the acquired areas. 14. Essentially, the English were invading Asia, bit by bit, since that's where all the money was. They created a corporation that had become a complete nation into itself, an early foreshadowing of the world we live in today. The East India Company could print its own money, declare war, take over any land it wanted to, and make all the rules, with no oversight. This was all happening right in China's backyard, and it was all legal by 1670. The elders were obviously very concerned about this, and needed to do something to create an effective resistance against this encroaching menace. Investing in the New World to balance the power equation. Jill told me that the Asians were secretly financing the buildup and development of the United States. Well before the American Revolution of 1776, the people behind the American Revolution obviously had their own agenda, as we now know, but in order to create a massive development project on such a vast scale, they needed an investor with deep pockets. The Founding Fathers signed separate, secret contracts for each shipment of gold they received. The elders fully expected to be paid back for the gold they were shipping out. In time. They knew it would take many years to build the United States up to the point where it would be fully self-sustaining and profitable on its own, but it was necessary to balance the power equation in the world. Shiploads of gold, averaging 2,000 metric tons per trip, were routinely being sent to the United States. This gold was secretly used as collateral by the United States Treasury to issue currency, financing an unprecedented industrial expansion. The United States made sure not to give away any of the gold. It was secretly stashed in Mexico and elsewhere as time went on, including places in Asia that were mutually agreed upon for safekeeping. This secret buildup reached its peak in the 1800s. For almost an entire century, I was told that the United States received as much as 2,000 metric tons of gold per month. Every shipload generated a completely separate contract and debt to be repaid. The Transcontinental Railroad, a key Asian investment. If you're not paying attention in American history class, you could easily miss that one day where your teacher talks about how Chinese slaves were largely responsible for building the first transcontinental railroad between 1863 and 1869. The slang name for these laborers was the coolies. Apparently they were the best at shimmying down ropes, planting dynamite in holes cut in the rock, lighting the dynamite and climbing back up the ropes fast enough to avoid getting blown up. The reality is very different. The coolies were not slaves at all. They were highly skilled professional builders sent over from Asia. The Chinese didn't trust Americans to do the job. They sent over their own people to make sure everything went smoothly. The Celestials. Your history teacher probably never told you what everyone actually called these Chinese laborers back then.